Tyler would like to show us how to put an ungodly amount of force on this winch behind us. He's got a Spanish Burton rigged up. We're going to turn the initial part over to Tyler. We're going to let him explain what he's doing. And I'm going to ask that all of us act as safety agents on this one. And if anybody sees anything they don't like, has a suggestion for a better way to do it, we're going to discuss alternative ways to do this, and then we'll change the rigging multiple times until we come up with a safe way to pull this truck out backwards. So unless I missed something, Tyler, go ahead and take us over and show us how you rig this thing up.
Thanks, Greg. So there's a couple parts that you have to have for a Spanish Burton, right? One, rated gear. Make sure all your gear is rated for the amount of weight we're pulling on this truck. So we're going to estimate this truck. What do we estimate the weight at, Mike?
30.
30,000?
Let's call it 40.
40,000, right? In mud, not to the frame, we're probably looking at an extra 30% if both of the sides of the axles were buried. They're not, it's just one side. It should roll out pretty easy. So we want to make sure that our working load limits are rated for all of our gear to match the load of the truck. Don't forget your vehicle and your bumper as well. Your vehicle and your bumper, you know, frame mounted recovery points. You don't want, like, you want gussets on all of your D-ring shackles and everything like that. So as we start to build it, this line here is called a floating line. This is just a winch extension. It goes from one part of my bumper through a snatch block, in this case a snatch ring, back to another snatch block. Now this is our working line. This is actually to our winch. So it goes from our winch through a snatch block back to our vehicle. Okay? Yeah. Sure. Yep. Any questions for anyone? How I currently have it rigged, or what is going on? So, if we're going to apply 10,000 pounds of force to this line coming straight from the winch, it's hooked to a snatch block, it's ran back to our vehicle, how much force is being applied now to this part of the line after the snatch block?
Well, if we've got 10 coming on the winch, and the pulley's going to double it, we've got another 10 on this line.
Yep.
So how much do we have on the pulley itself?
Just under 20.
20,000 pounds, right?
20?
So we're leading all the way down.
So this line in Tyler's hand has 20,000 pounds of pull on it.
20,000 pounds, 20,000 pounds. And we have another snatch block. Comes back to the vehicle. How much weight does this winch line have? How much weight does this line have on it?
So 10, 20.
Same 20 as the other side?
Exactly. What about here, after the snatch block? 40,000 pounds of force. Because it doubles here, and then it doubles the 20 again here. So we have 40,000 pounds of force being applied to the truck. That's a lot of weight. And at the end of the day, with my vehicle being the only one that's connected to this, my vehicle is going to take the entire brunt of the 40,000 pounds of force. Obviously, my little Bronco cannot do that. So what do we do in that case?
Put an anchor on.
We look for anchor points. We might be able to take this winch line on this side, hook it up to a large tree. Maybe we're on trail. Sure, that's a little too far out.
I know.
We want to try to keep all of our angles as close to a straight line as possible. The further we go out, so we're about 30%. After 30%, we lose all of this kind of advantage. Or 30 degrees, sorry. We have two lines hooked up to my Bronco, right? Not including the winch line. We have this side here, and we have the one on the far right. So what if we take two other vehicles, park one on each end, hook one to one vehicle, and hook one to the other vehicle? We still only have to have one winch to get this done. But now we're splitting that 40,000 pounds up across three different vehicles. That's three vehicles that you have for a larger footprint, so your vehicles aren't going to slide. It's less wear on your bumper. You know, if your bumper isn't rated at 40,000 pounds, which I don't think any of ours are, to be honest. I don't even think Ian's bumper could do 40,000 pounds safely. So that's where we come in. Multiple people go into a recovery. We can all use our vehicles to help out, even if there's only one winch. This is if you were to use a Spanish Burton, this is how we would like you guys to set it up with 3 vehicles, or if one of these vehicles is a tree, or maybe both of these vehicles is a tree. Do we have any questions about that? If anyone wants to come up and take a better look of how we have this set up, feel free, okay?
So Tyler, what do we have? Your winch is going to pull, and you can exert 10,000 pounds of force on this line.
Correct. This winch line is going to come down with 10,000 pounds of force. Our snatch block here brings back to this winch line, where this truck is also going to have 10,000 pounds of force, which is going to exert 20,000 pounds of force on this line here. Okay? As it comes further down, it doubles it again. We have 20,000 pounds of force here, 20,000 pounds of force here, 40,000 pounds of force here. Now keep in mind, this truck on the left is going to have twice as much force applied to it than the other 2 vehicles. If anything, if any one of those vehicles is going to lose traction, it's going to be the one on the left. So if we were to have an extra vehicle that we want to use as an anchor, we want to put it on the vehicle that is on the left, unless the terrain says otherwise. If the other vehicles have way less better, you know, it's less sticky.
So if this truck was really stuck in the mud, and let's assume for a second we need 100,000 pounds of pulling force to get him out, theoretically we don't have enough here, but the most we could exert is 10 off your winch, doubled with that pulley is 20,
Yep.
doubled with this pulley is 40.
Correct.
So if we can exert 40,000 pounds of pulling force on those vehicles don't weigh 40,000 pounds.
No,
So we probably need a bunch of anchors behind them in order to make
I would
this
say
work.
at least 2 more anchors behind to make it work.
Gotcha.
Given that 2 of those vehicles are on asphalt compared, or actually all 3 are on asphalt, given that all 3 are on asphalt and this is in mud, maybe not quite as many, because much better traction on asphalt compared to mud or sand.
Gotcha.
Just given the circumstance. But generally, you want your total weight here to be more than what you're trying to pull.
That makes sense. So if there's any downside to this, we can exert 40,000 pounds of force right here, but we often have a pulley that's not rated at 40,000 pounds. We may have a single soft shackle that's not rated at 40,000 pounds.
Right.
So we may have gear big enough to do it, but most of your wheeled pulleys are rated at 20,000 pounds.
Correct.
And we're going to put 40,000 pounds down here. So we've showed this just as a demonstration. This is not the preferred method to do it. When we've got enough vehicles and enough winches and enough pulleys, we're going to split it over more vehicles, more pulleys, more lines.
Yep.
But in an emergency situation, you could have run a Spanish Burton off a single vehicle tied to a tree. The single biggest reason I don't like doing it is the way Tyler was rigged up initially with everything hooked to his Jeep. Even if we could line 8 Jeeps up behind him, his a Bronco, sorry.
Oh, God.
His Bronco may take it. My Jeep, I would not put 40,000 pounds worth of pulling force forward.
Nope.
And 40,000 pounds worth of static load behind it. I don't want 40,000 pounds worth of pull tearing my Jeep in half.
Exactly. Yep.
So that's the single biggest reason why we wouldn't do it with a single vehicle unless it was an absolute emergency. Here we've split the load amongst multiple vehicles. We could add more anchors behind them. We still have a 20,000 pound stress point there and a 40,000 pound stress point here. So Tyler, is this ideal?
It is not ideal. Given the circumstance, if we only had the 3 vehicles, this is ideal as you can get. I've been strategic in my placement of the gear that I have, right? This ring is not, there's nothing to it, right? The breaking point of this ring is way higher than a mechanical snatch block. So that's why I have this ring up here instead of down there, because really that snatch block is only gonna be worth 10,000 pounds or 20,000 pounds. Whereas this one, it's gonna be 40,000 pounds. Again, this is not an everyday soft shackle, right? It's not an Amazon soft shackle. These soft shackles are rated at 42,000 pounds. This guy, although it is an Amazon strap, it does have a tag and it is rated for 45,000 pounds. It is a 4-inch strap. It is beefy. I don't carry this with me all the time. So in a circumstance like this, if I'm out in the trail, I wouldn't be able to do this to begin with. knowing that we were going to be out doing this today, I went ahead, grabbed it, threw it in the truck because we were probably going to be able to use it.
I believe, Tyler, that this small looking soft shackle is rated at 40,000 pounds. If I was doing this recovery, I'd put 2 soft shackles in there and distribute the load equally. We've got it on one strap because I don't think this is going to be a real heavy pull out, but we could put a second strap and we could distribute the load even more.